Welcome to This Explainer. I want you to take a quick, deep breath with me, settle in, and just imagine we're hanging out together in a quiet mountain lodge retreat. We're stepping away from the daily noise for a few minutes to look at something that affects literally every single one of us. Think about your smartphone right now. You've probably got what? One app tracking your sleep, another one for meditation, a third for your to-do list, maybe an AI chatbot, and somewhere buried on page 4 of your home screen is a personal growth course you bought 6 months ago and totally forgot about. It's incredibly frustrating, right? We have all these amazing tools, but they force us to bounce between a dozen different apps just to manage the different parts of our one single life. So we really need to ask ourselves this fundamental question. Why do we still have to go everywhere for support? Life just doesn't happen in neat little categories. You don't experience your stress in one app, your relationship somewhere else, and your daily habits in another place. It all happens at exactly the same time. And yet, the technology we rely on constantly asks us to divide ourselves into these disconnected pieces. When something is actually happening in your real life, right in the heat of the moment, you're left scrambling, trying to figure out which app you even need to open. Let's dive right into Section 1, the fragmented life versus the connected reality. Let's kind of zoom out and look at the deeply flawed way we usually categorize our human struggles. We tend to treat our problems as though they exist in total isolation. Just look at the contrast here. On the left side, you see how we usually label things. We have a work problem, a relationship problem, an energy problem, maybe a confidence or communication problem. But guys, people do not work that way. The reality on the right is that everything is connected. Your human capacity spans across your whole person simultaneously. You can't just put your emotional life on pause while your professional life takes over. It's all one interconnected system. I want to just pause and let this statement breathe for a second. Fear can disguise itself as urgency. Wow. Because often the problem we think we need to solve is actually not the root cause at all. You might sit there thinking you have this massive time management problem because everything at work feels like an absolute 5-alarm fire. But what if it's actually fear driving that urgency? What if your emotional response is completely dictating your professional workflow? Look at how this actually plays out. These examples are such a powerful pattern interrupt. It really shows how deeply intertwined our lives are. Poor sleep, that can completely change how you communicate with your partner the next day. A difficult relationship emotionally will absolutely tank your professional concentration. Overcommitting clearly drains your physical energy. And honestly, this last one is my favorite. A lack of clarity can look exactly like procrastination. You sit there thinking you're just being lazy, but in reality, you just don't know what your next step is. Which brings us to Section 2, the whole person gap. This is the core of what we call human readiness. It's not about isolating a single habit. It's about looking at your capacity across your entire being. How are you thinking, relating, or responding emotionally? What's happening physically and professionally? The goal isn't to overanalyze everything forever, but to understand enough of the big picture to pick the right next step. Because when you do that, you hit this punchy truth. You do not need motivation. You need clarity. Sometimes you don't need another answer. You just need a different response. If you're staring at a blank screen, beating yourself up for lacking motivation, looking at your whole self might reveal you just lack clarity on the project's boundaries. And building on that, sometimes you do not need more discipline. You need rest. Actually, let's just scratch the whole toxic productivity grind for a minute, because this is a massive shift in perspective. If your physical energy is completely depleted, I promise you, no amount of rigid discipline is going to solve your focus problem. You just need to sleep. Your support system has to recognize that your physical realities absolutely dictate your professional outputs. All right, moving into Section 3, support in the moment. Okay, let's get highly practical for a second. We know life is connected, but how do we actually support this interconnected life in real time? Think about this. What if learning happened exactly when you needed it? Most personal development happens way after the fact, right? You take a course, read a book, and then a random Tuesday hits. You're standing outside a meeting room, feeling totally overwhelmed, about to say yes when you desperately mean no. That right there is the moment of need gap. That 5-hour course from 6 months ago, it doesn't help you in the hallway. You need tools right in that exact moment. So here's how we actually bridge that gap using micro skills. Check out this rapid progression. Step 1, learn a 3-minute skill. Maybe it's pausing before answering or prepping one boundary sentence. Step 2, use it 10 minutes later in your actual real life. Step 3, return and reflect. The crucial takeaway here is that true learning absolutely has to leave the screen. It has to enter your actual life to turn basic information into real human capability. Next up, Section 4, Remembering the Journey. Right now, we face this massive memory gap in digital wellness. Constantly having to re-explain yourself to new apps is exhausting and honestly counterproductive. But look at how actual human growth happens across a timeline. 3 weeks ago, you worked on saying no without over-explaining. Yesterday, that exact same pattern popped back up. Today, you tried a new response. A useful support ecosystem has to remember your decisions, your goals, and your patterns. Instead of essentially asking, "Who are you?" every time you open it, your tech should be asking, "Hey, where were we?" Which ties perfectly into Section 5, True Accountability and Agency. This completely changes how we track our progress. We've got to shift away from these rigid, shame-based app streaks and move toward genuine human understanding. Notice the stark contrast here on the screen. On the left, traditional accountability. Did you do it? Check or missed. Break a streak? Feel terrible about yourself. But look at the right side. The deeper, much better inquiry is, if you didn't, why? Was the step too big? Did fear show up? Were you literally just exhausted? Human behavior is complex, you guys. Good accountability shouldn't shame you for breaking a streak. It should actually help you learn from it. So here is a much better system. This is the concrete human readiness accountability loop. First, you notice what happened. Then you understand why. You choose a response. You try the microskill. You return to the system. And finally, you review and adjust based on what you learned. This structured process takes all that abstract philosophy and grounds it into a highly practical tool for building lasting capability. Because success isn't about maintaining a perfect 100-day streak. It's about becoming more intentional when life inevitably throws you a curveball. And finally, Section 6, Technology should strengthen agency. With all the AI-powered wellness tools flooding the market right now, we need to be crystal clear about the role of technology. A good tool strengthens your agency. It does not replace it. An app is not designed to be your therapist, your doctor, or the ultimate authority over your life. It's meant to point you toward real-world, deeply human actions. Have the difficult conversation. Ask the tough question. Take a walk outside. Actually get some rest. Talk to your doctor or therapist. Set a personal boundary. Technology is there to give you structured support, sure, but ultimately, the app stays in your pocket. You are the one who actually has to live your life. And that brings us to this final provocative thought to close out our explainer today. I want you to really honestly ask yourself, are you living in the app, or is the app helping you live your life? Your life is deeply connected across your physical, emotional, and professional boundaries. Your support system should honor that reality, equipping you to be more ready for the real world rather than keeping you glued to a screen. Let's use our tools to strengthen our human agency, not replace it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this leaves you eager to rethink and rebuild your own personal development toolkit. Catch you next time.